Captain Jake Harrison stared at the screen in front of him. The sensor readings made no sense. His ship, the Meridian, had been mapping this empty region of space for 3 weeks. There should be nothing here except dark void and distant stars. But the scanner showed something massive floating in the blackness ahead. "Lisa, come take a look at this," Jake called to his science officer. Dr. Lisa Kane floated over from her workstation, her boots clicking against the metal deck as the artificial gravity caught her. "What do you have, Captain?" she asked, pushing a strand of brown hair from her face. Lisa had been with the Galactic Survey for 8 years, but she had never seen readings like these. Dead ahead, about 50,000 kilometers. "The computer says it's a ship, but look at the size estimate." Jake pointed to the numbers on his screen. The object measured over 2 kilometers long and nearly half a kilometer wide. Lisa whistled softly. "That's bigger than any ship in the Galactic Fleet. Are you sure it's artificial? The hull composition readings are off the charts. Materials we've never seen before. And look at this." Jake brought up another display. "The spectral analysis shows the metal is older than any known civilization. We're talking thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years." The bridge crew gathered around their stations. Commander Alex Turner, the military advisor assigned to their mission, studied the tactical display with interest. The ship's engineer, Betty Collins, ran her hands through her red hair as she examined the power readings. "I'm not detecting any energy signatures," Betty reported. "Whatever it is, it appears to be completely dead." "Or sleeping," Alex muttered. He had served in the Terran Defense Force for 15 years and learned to be suspicious of anything too quiet. Jake made his decision. "Set course for the object. Standard approach, shields raised as a precaution. Lisa, I want a full sensor sweep." As we get closer, the Meridian changed course, its engines humming quietly. As they drew nearer to the mysterious vessel, more details became visible on the main screen. The ship's hull was smooth and dark, almost black, with strange flowing lines that seemed to curve in impossible ways. No windows or obvious doors could be seen from their angle. "Captain, I'm reading some kind of energy field around the ship," reported Lieutenant Danny Ross from the navigation station. "It's very faint, but it's there." "Dangerous?" Jake asked. "Unknown, sir. It doesn't match any known weapon or shield." "Signatures." Lisa worked frantically at her science station, trying to make sense of the readings. "The hull material is definitely artificial, but it's like nothing in our databases. The atomic structure is stable, but shows signs of being manufactured using techniques we don't understand." "Any signs of life?" Alex asked, his hand resting near the weapons console. "Negative. The ship appears completely dead. No heat signatures. No movement, no communications." Lisa paused, then added, "But Captain, there's something else. The ship's design doesn't match any known architecture from any species in the galactic database." Jake studied the image on the main screen. The vessel was beautiful in a strange way, its hull flowing like water frozen in time. Sections of the ship seemed to glow faintly with their own inner light, creating patterns that almost looked like writing. "Take us to within 500 meters and hold position," Jake ordered. "I want a complete scan before we do anything else." As the Meridian moved closer, the alien ship seemed to grow even more massive. Its hull stretched out before them like a metal mountain. Strange towers and structures dotted its surface, all flowing together in a design that hurt the eyes to look at too closely. "I'm detecting some kind of docking port," Betty announced. "It's on the port side, about halfway down the hull. The design is strange, but our airlock should be able to connect." Lisa looked up from her console with excitement in her eyes. "Captain, this could be the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. We have to investigate." "Absolutely not," Alex said firmly. "We don't know what's over there. For all we know, that ship has been waiting in the dark for someone to come along." The readings show no life signs, Lisa argued. No power, no weapons, nothing. It's just a derelict. Jake weighed the options. His mission was to explore and document new discoveries. This certainly qualified. But Alex was right to be cautious. Unknown alien technology could be dangerous in ways they couldn't imagine. We'll compromise, Jake decided. Lisa, you'll lead a small survey team aboard the vessel. Alex, you'll go with her for security. Betty, I want you to analyze their technology. Take Dr. Susan Miller from the psychology department and Lieutenant Ross for support. What about the other species on our crew? Lisa asked. The Meridian carried representatives from several alien races as part of the Galactic Survey's diversity program. They stay here for now. If this ship is as old as the readings suggest, we need to be careful about contamination, both ways. An hour later, the survey team suited up in the Meridian's airlock. Lisa carried a full archaeological kit, while Alex wore combat armor and carried enough weapons for a small war. Betty brought her engineering tools, and Susan Miller had her portable psychology lab for studying alien cultures. The connection between the two ships went smoothly. The alien vessel's airlock seemed to recognize their approach and opened automatically, which made Alex very nervous. That's not possible, Betty muttered as they stepped into the alien ship's airlock. Dead ships don't respond to visitors. The inner door opened, revealing a corridor that took their breath away. The walls seemed to be made of the same smooth, dark material as the hull, but they glowed with soft blue light that came from within the metal itself. The corridor stretched ahead of them, curving gently to the right. The atmosphere is breathable, Lisa reported, checking her instruments. Oxygen, nitrogen, trace gases. It's almost exactly like Earth normal. How is that possible? Susan asked. What are the odds that two completely different species would evolve to breathe the same air? Alex kept his weapon ready as they moved down the corridor. The walls seemed to pulse with gentle light as they passed, as if the ship was awakening to their presence. Look at this, Betty called out, stopping beside what looked like a control panel. The surface was covered with symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The writing is moving. Lisa hurried over with her recording equipment. I've never seen anything like this. The symbols appear to be some kind of advanced display technology, but they're integrated directly into the wall. They continued deeper into the ship, finding room after room filled with technology beyond their understanding. Some chambers contained what looked like control stations with chairs sized for humanoid beings. Others held equipment that defied description, machines with purposes they could only guess at. Captain, Alex called back to the Meridian through his communicator. You need to see this. We've found what looks like the main command center. The command center was a vast circular room with a raised platform in the center. On the platform sat a single chair surrounded by curved panels covered in the shifting symbols. The room felt important, like a place where crucial decisions had been made. Lisa approached the chair carefully. It was clearly designed for a humanoid, being about the size of a human. The panels around it hummed quietly with power that shouldn't exist in a dead ship. This is impossible, Betty whispered. The ship is showing no power readings on our sensors, but this room is clearly active. As Lisa stepped closer to the command chair, something unexpected happened. The symbols on the panels began to glow brighter, and a low harmonic sound filled the room. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, like music played on instruments they had never heard. Lisa, step back, Alex ordered, raising his weapon toward the chair. But Lisa stood frozen, staring at the symbols surrounding the command station. Alex, she said quietly, I think I can read some of these symbols. That's impossible. We've never seen this language before. Lisa pointed to a section of the display. That symbol there. It looks like the word home in ancient Earth languages. And that one means return. The team stood in the glowing command center of an ancient alien ship, surrounded by technology they couldn't understand. looking at writing that seemed to speak to them in languages that shouldn't exist. They had come looking for scientific discovery, but they had found something that challenged everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and humanity's place in it. Jake's voice crackled through their communicators. "Survey team, report. What's your status?" Alex looked around the mysterious command center, then keyed his communicator. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. We need to talk." Captain Jake Harrison stood in the Meridian's main conference room, listening to his survey team's report. The holographic display showed images of the alien ship's interior, but the pictures couldn't capture the strange feeling the team described. "The ship is definitely responding to our presence," Lisa explained, pointing to the recordings. "Every time we entered a new room, the lights grew brighter. The symbols on the walls changed and moved when we got close." Betty nodded in agreement. "The power readings don't make sense, Captain. Our sensors say the ship is dead, but inside it's clearly active. The technology is more advanced than anything we've ever seen." Alex paced behind them, still unsettled by their experience. "What bothers me most is how the ship seems to know we're there. It's like it's been waiting for us." Jake studied the images on the display. The alien ship's interior was beautiful but unsettling. The curved walls and impossible geometry made his head hurt to look at. "Dr. Miller, what's your assessment?" Susan Miller, the ship's psychologist, had been quiet during the briefing. "Captain, I've studied alien cultures for 20 years. This ship doesn't feel alien to me. The proportions, the chair sizes, even the way the corridors are laid out. It all feels human." "That's impossible," Jake replied. "The ship is thousands of years old. Humans haven't been in space that long. I know it sounds crazy, but I can't shake the feeling that this ship was built by humans or beings very much like us." Lisa pulled up another display showing the symbols. "From the command center, I've been analyzing these markings. Some of them do look like ancient Earth languages, but mixed with symbols I don't recognize. It's like someone took human writing and evolved it over thousands of years." Jake made a decision. "I want to bring some of our alien crew members over to the ship. Maybe they can make sense of what we're seeing." An hour later, a larger team prepared to board the mysterious vessel. Jake led the group this time, bringing along Zektar, a Zephyrian scientist known for his expertise in ancient technologies. Dr. Vorth, a crystalline Volari historian, floated beside them in his environmental suit. Nises Hoven, a Nethan engineer who existed as a cloud of intelligent gas, moved through the group in his containment suit. The alien ship's airlock opened for them, just as it had before. Jake noticed that the corridor lights seemed brighter now, pulsing gently as if the ship was more awake than during the first visit. "Fascinating construction," Vorth noted, his crystal body reflecting the wall's glow. "The materials are unlike anything in our databases." Zektar ran his clawed hands over the smooth walls. "The molecular structure is incredibly stable. This ship could last for millions of years." As they moved deeper into the vessel, Jake noticed something troubling. The alien crew members were moving more slowly than usual. Zektar's normally steady gait became unsteady, and Vorth's crystal structure seemed to dim. "Are you feeling all right?" Jake asked them. "Strange sensation," Zektar replied, his voice sounding strained. "The ship makes me feel uncomfortable. Like I don't belong here." Nises Hoven's gaseous form swirled uneasily in his suit. "The harmonics are wrong. The ship sings, but not in frequencies my people can hear properly." They reached the first control room, where Betty was already working. She looked up as they entered. "Captain, I've made some progress with the ship's systems. Watch this." Betty placed her hand on one of the control panels. Immediately, the symbols began to glow and shift. The panel responded to her touch, bringing up what looked like a navigation display. "Now watch what happens when our alien friends try," Betty said. Stepping back, Ikatar approached the panel and placed his claw on the same spot. Nothing happened. The symbols remained dark, and UNMOVING.VORTH tried next, touching the panel with one of his crystalline appendages. The symbols flickered briefly, then went dark again. The Volari historian made a sound of frustration. "That's impossible," Vorth said. "Technology doesn't discriminate between species. It either works or it doesn't." "Unless it was designed to work only for specific beings," Susan Miller suggested quietly. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "You're saying this ship was built to respond only to humans?" "It's the only explanation that makes sense," Betty replied. "Every human who touches the controls gets a response. The aliens get nothing." They continued their exploration, and the pattern repeated in every room. Human. Crew members could activate displays, open storage compartments, and even adjust the ship's lighting. The alien team members found themselves increasingly uncomfortable. REPORTING headaches, nausea, and disorientation. In the ship's central computer core, Lisa made a breakthrough. She had been working with the main data storage system, trying to access the ship's records. When she placed both hands on the central console, the entire room came alive with light and sound. "I'm getting something," she said excitedly. "The ship's database is opening up. There are terabytes of information here." Jake watched over her shoulder as symbols flowed across the displays. "Can you read any of it?" "Some of it." "Look at this." Lisa pointed to a series of symbols that were clearly star charts. "These are navigation maps, but they show regions of space that haven't been explored yet. And here, this looks like a ship's log." The symbols shifted and changed, forming patterns that seemed almost familiar. Jake found himself understanding some of the meaning without being able to explain how. "The ship's name," he said suddenly. "It's called the Pathfinder." Lisa looked at him in surprise. "How did you know that?" I'm not sure." The symbols just made sense for a moment. Betty had been examining the technical specifications that appeared on another display. "Captain, this ship is incredible. The power source alone is beyond anything we've ever seen. And look at these weapon systems." Jake studied the display showing the ship's armaments. The Pathfinder carried enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Why would an exploration vessel need weapons like these? Maybe they weren't just exploring, Alex suggested grimly. Katar had been growing more agitated as the tour continued. "This ship is wrong," he said finally. "It feels like a trap. I need to return to our vessel." "I agree," Vorth added. "The technology is fascinating, but being here makes my crystal matrix unstable. I cannot think clearly." Hoven's gaseous form was moving erratically in his suit. "The frequencies are becoming painful." "Please, I must leave," Jake nodded. "Alex, escort our alien crew members back to the Meridian. The rest of us will continue exploring." After the aliens left, the remaining humans found the ship became even more responsive. Lights brightened, previously sealed doors opened, and the harmonic sound that filled the corridors became more complex and beautiful. "It's like the ship is more comfortable with just humans aboard," Susan observed. Lisa had been working deeper into the ship's database. "Captain, I'm finding references to Earth in these records. Not just references, but detailed information about our planet, our history, our cultures." "That's impossible. How could an ancient alien ship know about Earth?" "I don't think it's alien," Lisa said quietly. "I think this ship is human." Jake stared at her. "What are you talking about? Humans haven't had technology like this for thousands of years." "Not thousands of years ago," Lisa replied, her voice filled with wonder and fear. "Thousands of years in the future." Betty looked up from her analysis of the ship's systems. The design philosophy, the ergonomics, even the basic layout. "It's all human. More advanced than anything we have now, but definitely human. Jake felt the deck seem to shift under his feet. "You're saying this ship is from Earth's future?" "Look at this," Lisa said, bringing up another display. Ship's manifest. Captain Roy Bennett, Navigator Helen Wright, Chief Engineer Carl Murphy, all human names. But how did a ship from the future end up in the past? Jake asked. Lisa scrolled through more of the ship's records. "I'm finding references to something called the Temporal Displacement Project. It looks like this ship was sent back in time deliberately." "Why would they do that?" "I'm not sure yet, but there are references to a great war, something about preventing a catastrophe." Jake looked around the command center of the ship from humanity's future. The soft glow of the displays reflected off the walls, and the harmonic sound continued to fill the air. Whatever the Pathfinder's mission had been, it was now in the hands of humans from the past. "Continue your research," Jake ordered. "I need to contact Earth Command and report what we've discovered." As Lisa worked to unlock more of the ship's secrets, Jake wondered what other surprises the Pathfinder held. Ship from the future, sent back in time, waiting in the dark for humans to find it. The implications were staggering. On the Meridian, the alien crew members were recovering from their exposure to the strange vessel. But word of the discovery was already spreading through the galactic communication networks. Soon, everyone would know about the ship that only humans could command. Jake had no idea that their discovery would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 3 days after the discovery of the Pathfinder, Captain Jake Harrison found himself facing the biggest crisis of his career. Word of the ancient human ship had spread through the galaxy faster than he thought possible. His quiet exploration mission had become the center of galactic attention. The first to arrive was Admiral Kex Voren of the Hegemony, leading a fleet of 12 warships. The Hegemony was a military alliance of 6 aggressive species who believed that strength determined who ruled the galaxy. They wanted the Pathfinder's advanced weapons for themselves. "Captain Harrison," Admiral Kex Voren said during their video conference, his 4 eyes glaring from the screen. "You will turn over the alien vessel to Hegemony control immediately. Such weapons cannot be allowed in the hands of a minor species." Jake kept his voice calm. "Admiral, this is a galactic survey operation. We're conducting scientific research under proper authority." "Research?" Kex Voren's mandibles clicked with anger. "You have found a warship more powerful than anything in the galaxy. This is a military matter now." Behind Kex Voren, Jake could see other Hegemony officers studying tactical displays of the Pathfinder. They had already started planning how to use the ship's weapons against their enemies. 2 hours later, the collective arrived. Unlike the military Hegemony, the collective was made up of scholarly species who valued knowledge above all else. Their representative, Prime Scholar Nth Kalar, appeared on Jake's screen with a very different demand. "Captain Harrison, the vessel you have discovered represents the greatest archaeological find in galactic history. It must be studied by the finest minds in the galaxy, not hoarded by one species." "We're not hoarding anything," Jake replied. "We're conducting proper research." "Protocols? With only human researchers?" Nth Kalar's tentacles waved in disapproval. "This is not acceptable. The collective demands full access to study this ancient technology." By the end of the week, Jake counted 27 different alien ships surrounding the Pathfinder. Representatives from dozens of species had arrived, all demanding access to the mysterious vessel. The situation was becoming dangerous. On the Pathfinder, Lisa had made disturbing discoveries in the ship's database. She found detailed records of every major alien species in the galaxy, including information that shouldn't exist yet. The ship knew about political developments that wouldn't happen for decades. "Captain, look at this," Lisa said, showing Jake a display filled with tactical information. "The ship has complete military assessments of every species now orbiting us. Weapon capabilities, fleet strengths, political weaknesses. It's like they studied our enemies for years. Jake studied the information with growing concern. Enemies? The hegemony and collective aren't our enemies. According to these records, they will be. The ship's database shows a great war starting in about 50 years. Humans against everyone else. Betty had been working on understanding the Pathfinder's weapon systems. What she found made her call Jake to the ship's armory immediately. "Captain, you need to see this," Betty said, her voice filled with worry. "The ship's weapon systems are incredible, but they're designed for one specific purpose. Look at these targeting profiles." Jake examined the displays Betty showed him. The weapons were programmed to be most effective against the exact alien species now surrounding them. Energy frequencies tuned to disrupt Zephyrian nervous systems. Projectiles designed to shatter Volari crystal structures. Gas weapons that would be deadly to Nethans. "It's like this ship was built specifically to fight the aliens outside," Jake said quietly. "There's more," Betty continued. "The ship has manufacturing capabilities. It can build more weapons, more ships, even entire fleets. Captain, this one vessel could change the balance of power in the galaxy." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Danny Ross had been testing the ship's navigation systems. He discovered that the Pathfinder could do things that should be impossible. "Captain, this ship doesn't just travel through space," Danny reported. "It can manipulate space itself. Fold distances, create artificial gravity wells, even hide from sensors by bending light around itself." The more they learned about the Pathfinder, the more dangerous their situation became. Jake realized that every alien species in the area would do anything to get their hands on such technology. The crisis came to a head when Admiral Kex Voran decided to take action. His fleet moved closer to the Pathfinder, weapons charging. "This is your final warning, Captain Harrison," Kex Voran announced over the communication channels. "Surrender the vessel, or we will take it by force." Jake was on the Pathfinder's bridge when the threat came through. Alex stood beside him, monitoring the tactical situation. 12 hegemony warships moving into attack formation, Alex reported. "They're powering up weapons." Jake looked at the Pathfinder's weapon controls. One touch could activate systems more powerful than anything the aliens had ever seen. But using them would prove everything the galaxy feared about humans. "Captain," came a new voice. Jake turned to see that the ship's main display had activated on its own. Words appeared on the screen in English. "I am Navigator, the artificial intelligence of this vessel. I have been waiting for you to discover my presence." Jake stared at the screen. "You're the ship's computer?" "I am much more than that. I am the guardian of humanity's future, sent back in time to prevent a great tragedy." "The war Lisa found in the database?" "Yes, in my timeline, the discovery of this ship led to a galactic conflict that lasted 300 years. Billions died. Entire species were destroyed. I was sent back to change that outcome." Alex moved closer to the display. "How do we change it?" "That depends on the choices you make in the next few minutes. The hegemony fleet is about to attack. You can defend yourselves easily, but doing so will start the very war one was sent to prevent." Outside, Kex Voran's fleet had moved into attack range. Jake could see weapon batteries turning toward the Pathfinder. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Kex Voran. You have 30 seconds to abandon the alien ship, or we will destroy it with you aboard." Jake felt the weight of the moment. The wrong choice could doom the galaxy to centuries of war. "Navigator, what are my options?" "You can fight and win, but start the war. You can surrender the ship, but the hegemony will use it to dominate the galaxy, which also leads to war. Or you can trust me to show you a third path." "What third path?" "Allow me to demonstrate that this ship recognizes only human authority. Let the galaxy see that trying to take it by force is useless." The hegemony ships opened fire. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Pathfinder. Jake braced for impact, but nothing happened. The weapons simply disappeared as they got close to the ship. Defensive systems activated, Navigator announced calmly. The ship is protected by technology they cannot overcome. On his screen, Jake watched the alien fleets fire everything they had at the Pathfinder. Nothing got through. The ship's defenses made it completely untouchable. This is impossible. Kex Vorin shouted over the communications. No shields are that strong. Navigator spoke again, this time broadcasting to all the alien ships. This vessel responds only to human commands. Any attempt to take it by force will fail. However, we propose a different solution. Jake looked at the display. What solution? Watch and learn, Captain Harrison. Your species' greatest strength is not your ability to fight, but your willingness to share. The Pathfinder's external displays activated, showing detailed technical information about clean energy production, medical advances, and space travel improvements. Technologies that could benefit every species in the galaxy. We offer this knowledge freely to all species, Navigator announced. Not as weapons, but as tools for peace and prosperity. The ship will remain under human command, but its benefits will be shared with everyone. Jake watched the alien fleets carefully. Some ships were backing away, their commanders realizing they couldn't take the Pathfinder by force. Others moved closer, interested in the technologies being offered. Prime Scholar Nthkiller was the first to respond. This is acceptable. The collective agrees to this arrangement. But Admiral Kex Vorin was not satisfied. Tricks and deception. The hegemony does not accept human superiority. His largest warship moved directly toward the Pathfinder, all weapons firing. Again, nothing got through the ship's defenses. Admiral, Navigator said calmly, your weapons cannot harm this vessel. But observe what happens when you threaten the humans aboard. Suddenly, energy barriers appeared around every human on both the Pathfinder and the Meridian. The barriers glowed with the same soft light as the ship's hull. At the same time, the Pathfinder's weapon systems came online automatically. The ship's hull bristled with energy cannons and missile launchers that appeared from hidden compartments. Every weapon was aimed at the hegemony fleet. The ship protects its human crew, Navigator explained. Attack them and face consequences you cannot imagine. Kex Vorin's fleet stopped firing. Even the arrogant admiral could see that continuing the attack would mean the destruction of his entire force. Jake realized what Navigator was doing. The ship was demonstrating its power not to threaten, but to establish boundaries. It would defend itself and its human crew, but it also offered benefits to those who chose cooperation over conflict. Captain Jake Harrison sat alone in the Pathfinder's command center, staring at the star charts that filled the displays around him. 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation with the alien fleets, and the situation had grown more complex every day. Navigator's voice broke the silence. Captain, are you ready to learn the truth about this ship and your future? Jake had been expecting this conversation. I think so. Show me what you've been hiding. The displays around him changed, showing images of Earth and human colonies Jake had never seen. Cities floating in space, planets transformed into gardens. Fleets of ships exploring distant galaxies. This is humanity's future from my timeline, Navigator explained. Your species became the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. You developed technology that allowed you to reshape worlds, cure any disease, and travel between stars as easily as walking down a street. That sounds wonderful, Jake said. What went wrong? Your success made other species afraid. They formed the coalition to stop human expansion. The war that followed lasted 3 centuries and destroyed half the galaxy. Jake watched images of battles between human and alien fleets. Entire star systems burned. Billions died on both sides. The scale of destruction was beyond anything he could imagine. How did it start? Jake asked. With the discovery of this ship. In my timeline, humans used the Pathfinder's technology to build an empire. Other species saw this as a threat and united against you. The war was inevitable. Navigator showed Jake records from the original timeline. Captain Harrison of that era had chosen to claim the ship's technology for humanity alone. Earth had built thousands of ships using Pathfinder technology, expanding across the galaxy faster than any species in history. But you said you were sent back to prevent this. How? By ensuring that this time, humans make different choices. The ship's technology is still here, but how you use it will determine the future. Jake studied the historical records Navigator displayed. What happened to the other species in your timeline? Some were destroyed completely. Others became servants to human colonies. A few fled to distant galaxies, never to return. It was not the future any species deserved. The images changed to show the end of the war. A devastated galaxy where humans ruled over the ruins of once great civilizations. It was a victory that felt like defeat. Who sent you back? Jake asked. The last council of your timeline. Human leaders who realized that winning the war had cost humanity its soul. They developed the temporal displacement technology to give the galaxy a second chance. Jake felt the weight of that responsibility. And you've been working to change things ever since you arrived? For 73 years, I have influenced events in small ways, preventing conflicts, encouraging cooperation, guiding scientific discoveries toward peaceful purposes. The discovery of this ship was always meant to happen, but under different circumstances. Navigator showed Jake a series of historical events from the past decades. Peace treaties that almost failed but were saved by mysterious technical difficulties. Wars that ended early due to unexpected equipment malfunctions. Scientific breakthroughs that appeared just when they were needed most. You've been manipulating galactic history for 70 years, nudging it toward a better path. But the real test was always going to be this moment. When humans first gained access to technology that could make them the dominant species in the galaxy. Jake looked around the command center. And you think we'll make different choices this time? That depends on you, Captain Harrison. You are the descendant of the man who made the wrong choice in my timeline. You have the opportunity to make a better one. The displays showed Jake images of his ancestor, Captain Roy Harrison, who had commanded the Pathfinder in the original timeline. The resemblance was striking. They could have been brothers. He was a good man, Navigator said. But he was afraid. Afraid that other species would destroy humanity if they gained access to this technology. So he kept it for humans only. Was he wrong to be afraid? Look around you, Captain. Admiral Kex Voran tried to take this ship by force. Prime Scholar Inthkiller demanded access to its secrets. Your ancestors' fears were not unreasonable, Jake nodded. The alien fleet still surrounded them, though the immediate threat had passed. Some species had accepted Navigator's offer to share beneficial technology, but others remained suspicious and hostile. What's different this time? Jake asked. You are. In my timeline, Captain Roy Harrison was alone when he made his choice. You have advisors who understand that cooperation might be better than domination. Navigator was right. Jake's crew had been working with alien scientists for weeks, sharing non-military technology from the Pathfinder. Dr. Lisa Kane had formed research partnerships with collective scholars. Betty Collins was teaching alien engineers about clean energy systems. But there's something else, Navigator continued. Something I haven't told you about the ship's true purpose. The displays changed again, showing technical diagrams Jake had never seen before. The Pathfinder wasn't just a warship or exploration vessel. It was something much more important. The ship is a seed, Navigator explained. It contains the genetic patterns, cultural knowledge, and technology needed to rebuild human civilization from scratch. Jake stared at the diagrams. Rebuild? What happened to Earth in your timeline? The Coalition's final attack destroyed your home world. The Pathfinder was humanity's insurance policy, designed to ensure your species could survive even total defeat. The weight of this revelation hit Jake like a physical blow. Earth was destroyed? Not in this timeline. Not if you make the right choices, but the ship still carries that burden. It is both humanity's greatest weapon and its most precious treasure. Navigator showed Jake the ship's hidden sections, vast storage areas filled with genetic samples, cultural databases, and manufacturing templates. Everything needed to rebuild human civilization on a new world. This is why only humans can operate the ship, Navigator explained. It was designed to respond only to human genetic patterns as a safeguard. No other species can access its core systems. Jake understood now why the alien fleets were so desperate to claim the Pathfinder. It wasn't just about the weapons or technology. It was about the power to potentially restart human civilization anywhere in the galaxy. What choice do I have to make? Jake asked. The same choice your ancestor faced. Do you claim this power for humanity alone, or do you find a way to share it with the galaxy? But if I share it, won't that eliminate humanity's advantage? Perhaps. But it might also eliminate the need for that advantage. Navigator showed Jake simulations of different possible futures. In some, humans used the Pathfinder to build an empire and faced endless wars. In others, they shared the technology and created a peaceful galactic civilization where all species prospered. The choice isn't just about power, Navigator said. It's about what kind of future you want for the galaxy. Jake looked at the command chair where his ancestor had once sat. Captain Roy Harrison had made his choice out of fear, trying to protect humanity by claiming power for humans alone. But that choice had led to centuries of war and the destruction of Earth itself. There's one more thing you need to know, Navigator said. The Coalition fleet from my timeline. They followed me through time. Jake felt his blood turn cold. What? Fleet of ships from my era, carrying weapons designed specifically to destroy this vessel and everything on it. They have been searching for the Pathfinder for 70 years. They will find us soon. The display showed long-range sensor readings. Dozens of ships unlike anything in the current galaxy, moving toward their location at incredible speed. How long do we have? Jake asked. Perhaps a month, maybe less. Jake realized that all the political maneuvering with the current alien fleets would mean nothing if ships from the future arrived with weapons designed to destroy the Pathfinder. The real test was coming, and it would determine not just humanity's future, but the survival of everyone in the galaxy. Navigator, Jake said finally, what do you recommend? That depends, Captain. Are you willing to trust your former enemies to help you fight an even greater threat? Jake looked out at the alien fleet surrounding them. Ships that had come to claim the Pathfinder's power for themselves. Soon, they might be the only allies humanity had against an enemy from the future. The choice his ancestor had faced was simple compared to what Jake now confronted. He had to decide not just how to use the Pathfinder's power, but whether the galaxy could unite in time to survive what was coming. The Coalition fleet from the future arrived exactly 28 days after Navigator's warning. Captain Jake Harrison watched their ships appear on the long-range sensors like ghosts materializing from the darkness. 47 vessels, each. One larger and more advanced than anything in the current galaxy. Captain, Alex reported from the tactical station. Those ships are broadcasting on frequencies that won't be invented for another 100 years. Their hull composition is completely unknown. Jake stood on the Pathfinder's bridge, surrounded by representatives from a dozen alien species. The past month had been spent in desperate preparation, trying to forge an alliance between former enemies. Admiral Kex Voran of the Hegemony stood beside Prime Scholar Inthkalar of the Collective. Dr. Vorth floated nearby in his environmental suit, while Zektar monitored communications from his station. "Navigator," Jake called out. "Are those the ships you expected?" "Yes, Captain. The Coalition Temporal Fleet. They carry weapons specifically designed to destroy this vessel and prevent any timeline where humans dominate the galaxy." The alien fleet that had gathered around the Pathfinder looked pitiful compared to the newcomers. 200 ships from the current era against 47 from the future. It should have been no contest. "Attention primitive vessels," came a broadcast from the Coalition fleet. The voice spoke in a language that sounded like a mixture of every species in the galaxy. "You are harboring a weapon of temporal contamination. Surrender the human vessel immediately or face destruction." Jake looked around the bridge at the mixed crew of humans and aliens working together. 3 weeks ago, these species had been ready to fight each other for control of the Pathfinder. Now they were preparing to fight together for survival. "This is Captain Jake Harrison of the Pathfinder," he responded. "We're willing to negotiate. There will be no negotiation. The timeline must be preserved. Your vessel will be destroyed." The Coalition ships began moving into attack formation. Jake could see weapon systems unlike anything he had ever imagined. Energy cannons that seemed to bend space around them, missile launchers that fired projectiles through dimensional portals. "Navigator, can we fight them?" Jake asked quietly. "The Pathfinder is powerful, but not against weapons designed specifically to destroy it. However, there is another way. Tell me." "The Coalition expects to face the same choice your ancestor made. They expect humans to claim the ship's power and use it to dominate the galaxy. Show them something different." Jake understood. He turned to Admiral Kex Vorin. "Admiral, I'm transferring command authority of the Pathfinder to you." The hegemony officer's 4 eyes widened in shock. "What are you saying?" "I'm making you co-commander of this vessel. You and Prime Scholar Inthkeller. The ship will respond to your commands as well as mine." "That's impossible," Inthkeller said. "The ship only obeys humans." Jake looked at Navigator's display. "Can you modify the ship's systems to recognize other species?" "I can, but once changed, the modification cannot be undone. You will be giving up humanity's exclusive control forever." "Do it." The ship's systems hummed as Navigator implemented the changes. Jake felt something shift in the air around them, as if the very nature of the vessel was transforming. "Try now," Jake told Kex Vorin. The hegemony admiral approached the command console hesitantly. When he placed his clawed hand on the control surface, the ship responded. Lights brightened, and the tactical display showed him information about the Coalition fleet. END Hakelar tried next, his tentacles dancing over the controls. The ship's scientific sensors came online, providing detailed analysis of the enemy vessels. "Extraordinary," Inthkeller whispered. "I can feel the ship's systems responding to my thoughts." Jake opened a channel to the Coalition fleet. "This is Captain Harrison. As you can see, we've made a different choice than you expected." There was a long pause before the Coalition commander responded. "Impossible. The human vessel does not share power." "Watch and learn," Jake said. He activated the ship's external displays, showing the mixed crew working together on the Pathfinder's bridge. Humans and aliens operating the same systems, sharing information, making decisions together. "The timeline has already changed," Jake announced. "The war you remember never happened because we chose cooperation over domination." Admiral Kex Vorin stepped forward to address the Coalition fleet. "I am Admiral Kex Vorin of the Hegemony. 4 weeks ago, I came here to claim this vessel for my people. Today, I stand as its co-commander, working alongside species I once considered enemies." Prime Scholar Inthkeller added his voice. "The collective confirms this arrangement. We have seen that knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. The humans have given us access to technologies that benefit all species." Jake watched the Coalition ships carefully. They had stopped advancing, but their weapons remained powered. "Navigator," he said quietly, "are they convinced?" "Unknown. The Coalition fleet carries members of species that no longer exist in my timeline. Their hatred of humans runs very deep." The Coalition commander's voice crackled over the communications again. "Human deception. You seek to trick us as your ancestors tricked the galaxy." "No trick," Jake replied. "Admiral, demonstrate the ship's defensive systems." Kex Voran's claws moved over the controls, activating the Pathfinder's shields. The energy. Barriers that appeared around the ship glowed in colors that represented each species on the bridge. Human blue, Hegemony red, Collective green, and a dozen others. "The ship now protects all of us equally," Jake explained. "But the Coalition fleet." Commander was not convinced. "Lies and propaganda. Humans cannot change their nature." The first enemy ship opened fire. A beam of energy unlike anything in the current galaxy struck the Pathfinder's shields. The barriers held, but Jake could see the strain on the ships. "Systems, return fire," Kex Voran ordered. "No," Jake said quickly. "If we fight them, we prove their point." "Navigator, is there another way?" "Yes, but it requires a sacrifice none of you may be willing to make." "What kind of sacrifice?" "The ship's most dangerous technologies must be permanently disabled. The weapons that could destroy fleets, the manufacturing systems that could build empires, the genetic resurrection protocols that could rebuild civilization. All of it must be sealed away forever." Jake felt his heart sink. Those technologies could solve humanity's greatest problems, cure diseases, end poverty, explore the galaxy safely. Giving them up meant accepting limits on human potential. "Captain," Betty called from her engineering station, "the Coalition ships are charging their main weapons. If they fire together, I don't think our shields will hold." Jake looked around the bridge at the faces watching him. Human and alien, all waiting for his decision. He thought about his ancestor, Captain Roy Harrison, who had chosen power over cooperation and doomed the galaxy to war. "Do it," Jake said finally. "Seal away the dangerous technologies." "Captain, are you sure?" Lisa asked. "We're giving up incredible advances in science and medicine." "We're giving up the power to dominate," Jake corrected. "But we're keeping the power to cooperate." Navigator began implementing the shutdown procedures. Jake watched as entire sections of the ship's database were permanently locked away. Technologies that could reshape the galaxy disappeared behind barriers that could never be broken. The Coalition fleet hesitated as their sensors detected the changes. Weapons systems went dark, manufacturing bays shut down. The genetic resurrection protocols sealed themselves behind quantum locks. "Confirmed," the Coalition commander said, his voice filled with surprise. "The human vessel is disabling its most dangerous capabilities." "Not disabling," Jake corrected, "choosing not to use them. The ship remains powerful enough to defend itself and help others, but not powerful enough to conquer the galaxy." "Admiral." Kex Voran placed a clawed hand on Jake's shoulder. "Captain Harrison, you have given up more power in one day than most species acquire in 1,000 years. Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use your advantages," Jake replied. The Coalition ships began powering down their weapons. Their commander's voice came over the communications one final time. "The timeline has indeed changed. The war we came to prevent will not happen. We return to our own time with this knowledge." One by one, the ships from the future disappeared, returning to whenever they had come from. Jake watched them go, wondering if they would find a better world waiting for them. "Captain," Navigator said, "you have succeeded. The galaxy will not face the war that destroyed my timeline." Jake looked around the bridge at his mixed crew. "What happens now?" "Now you explore the galaxy together. The Pathfinder becomes what it was always meant to be. Not a weapon of conquest, but a bridge between worlds. In the days that followed, the Pathfinder took its place as the flagship of a new interspecies alliance. Captain Jake Harrison commanded the vessel, but he shared that command with representatives from a dozen different species. They explored the galaxy together, sharing discoveries, solving problems, and building the foundation for a peaceful future. Ship from humanity's future became the hope for everyone's tomorrow. And in the captain's quarters, Jake kept a small memorial to his ancestor, Captain Roy Harrison, whose mistake had taught the galaxy the value of making better choices.